after what happened last year, January 29th. Heck, this year, January 29th, when they lost the title game to the Philadelphia Eagles.
You know, I keep coming back to Brock Purdy, and I'm amazed that he's healthy and ready to go, and I'm really excited to see what he can bring to the table. Obviously, the health is going to be the number one thing. What he put out last year was incredible. But I also think just, like, temper the expectations from 49er fans. Like, I'm looking at this. Now, if you would have told me Trey did the exact same thing as what Brock Purdy did last year, I think I would have a very similar setting. And here's the setting. I want 25 touchdowns, 12 or less interceptions, 5 or less fumbles. I want to see him throw for 38 plus 100 yards. If you get close to 4,000 in this, this era that you're in, that means you're throwing for over 220 a game, give or take. I want good efficiency, move the sticks, and be a part of a winning team. If you told me those were the numbers for Brock Purdy, I would be thrilled. I'd have an ear-to-ear smile. I don't think that's good enough for Niner fans.
Well, what is good enough for Niner fans?
I mean, Jimmy basically did that in 2019, and it still felt like it wasn't good enough.
It wasn't good enough for a lot of people. Jimmy G helped you win games, and it's still, and I think that's why people have reservations about Brock Purdy.
What do you mean?
Because we saw Jimmy come in here when he got traded from New England on Halloween of 2017, and he comes here, and they win the last 5 games of that season. Heck, and he played phenomenal football. There's no doubt. Marquise Goodwin, Trent Taylor, Kendrick Bourne was his receivers. George Kittle wasn't the George Kittle we knew today.
Yeah.
And Jimmy came in and he helped change this culture. He helped build this baby brick by brick. And he played really good football. And we thought heading into 2018 that, oh boy, the Niners are going to the playoffs. And he gets hurt week 3 in Kansas City.
It feels so dumb in retrospect. It feels so dumb.
And he struggled to start the season. We're like, what's going on here? And you look at the talent that they had on the roster. It wasn't what it is today. But those were the expectations. And Jimmy brought us hope. I wonder if fans still have that reservation saying, well, yeah, Brock was great. He was great. But we saw this with Jimmy in 2017 because Jimmy did play some good football in 2017. He made plays.
Well, let's go to 2019, which is the year most people remember. 2019, he threw for 27 touchdowns, okay? This roster on offense is so much better than where they were in 2019.
Yeah, no doubt.
Think about this. Deebo Samuel was a rookie that year. They had to make a trade for Emmanuel Sanders late in the season. Okay? Joe Staley missed time that year, and it was, I think, his last full season.
McGlinchey and Joe Staley missed time.
There you go.
The Seattle game on Monday Night Football.
There you go. Weston Richburg was healthy, but got hurt at the end of the year.
New Orleans, Superdome.
And then I look at some of the weaponry. Is George Kittle better today or back then?
I think he's better today.
I think so, too. Debo, infinitely better today, right?
No
I think they know how to use him better, too. They didn't have Ayuk.
No.
We all think Emmanuel Sanders is a nice player. Full season of Ayuk is better than a couple of games of Emmanuel Sanders.
And Kendrick Bourne, who also played in the slot.
Absolutely. Okay? Running back position. They didn't have a guy that anybody's taken in fantasy.
Well, they had 3 different running backs that year.
Yeah, it was Breida.
It was Matt Breida for a second, Tevin Coleman, who everybody loved. I'm joking there. And, of course, Raheem Mostert.
Yeah, and Mostert didn't really pop until the end, right? You're coming into the game this year. I'm talking about whoever the quarterback is, but in particular Brock Purdy. He's coming in with McCaffrey, Ayuk, Debo, and Kittle.
Some of the best weapons in football.
It might be the best weaponry since the 94 Niners.
Yeah, it's some of the definitely one of the top 5 weaponry in today's game. Top 5, top 10, whatever you want to do.
So I do think that we're looking to glamour up like, oh, the stats need to be this and the stats need to be that. Playing the game is hard. And I just think that what we saw last year was absolutely outstanding. And I'm not saying that there's a regression. I'm not saying he's going to fall back down. But I do think whoever the quarterback is, there's going to be some struggle games. There's going to be some games where we don't need that guy to throw for 200 or 250 or even 300 yards. You could throw for 190 and win and hand the ball off a little.
Think about Brock Purdy. Think about Brock Purdy in the regular season.
What do you have, 13
Looking at
and
the
4?
Regular season here. 13 touchdown passes, 4 interceptions, but the yardage, 210 against Miami coming in for Jimmy Garoppolo.
Which was impressive.
Threw for 185 against Tampa Bay because they sat on the ball in the second half.
It was all first half,
185, 2 touchdown passes, 16-21, but he looked really, really good. You think about Seattle on Thursday Night Football. He threw for 217, 2 touchdowns, and he was hurt.
Yeah,
he was hurt in that game, 17-26. You look at the Washington game. They scored 37, but he throws the ball just 22 times for 234. All right, you go to Las Vegas, you got to throw the ball a little more. He throws it 35 times, 284. Didn't have a 300-yard passing game in the regular season a season ago. So is that okay? Yes, really. Threw for 284 against Vegas.
Wow.
178 against Arizona to end the season, but that's okay. Kaepernick his second season, he didn't have any. He had a lot of 180-yard games, 190-yard games.
I think Montana averaged 226 for his
So
career.
I don't really get caught up in the 300-yard passing games because think about the personnel and think about the team and think about the philosophy of this head coach.
No doubt.
He wants to run the ball down your throats.
Well, and if you throw early and you have a lead and you're running late, you're going to have suppressed passing numbers.
He had one 300-yard game last year, Brock Purdy, and that was in that wild card game against Seattle when he threw for 332.
And they went crazy in the second half. He went crazy, too.
He went crazy. No, he played well, man. Let's go to Dave in Frisno. Dave, what's happening, man? You're on the roast.
Good morning. You guys ready
Dave.
for the circus?
Oh, I'm ready to go, baby. I'm ready for all of it.
Man, I feel bad. I just feel bad for the players in that locker room. I feel like I'm gonna have to answer these questions every day about the quarterback situation. Like, I'm not looking forward to it. But you know what? I just kind of want to, speak on Trey a little bit, and I just don't think he's going to be in a fair fight. I just think, when you got Lynch coming out saying, "Oh yeah, Brock Purdy's the leader of the clubhouse, and it's his team, or it's his turn to go." Like, I would just say this to that. Trey Lance, think about this. He has never played, the few games he's played, he's never had Trent Williams, George Kittle, Debo, and, obviously Christian McCaffrey on the field with him. Brock Purdy had that, his whole time when he stepped in. So, yeah, he did good when he stepped in for Jimmy. I think, he did the job. But let's see Trey Lance with those same weapons and call the same plays you call for Brock Purdy. Let's not call the QB dives and the read options. No, call the same plays for Trey Lance, and let's see what he can do with the same amount of weapons. Because, as good as Brock Purdy was when he stepped in, let's be honest, that was Christian McCaffrey that made this offense go. So, let's give Trey, a fair shot. Because Shaq, you said, it's just about reps and who makes the most of the reps. It doesn't matter. No, I disagree with that because I think Shanahan, with his history, when he has his mind made up on the quarterback, it doesn't matter how good or what the quarterback can do. If he feels like the quarterback will do everything he asked him to do, that's who's going to be on the field. So,
can we meet in the middle here? Because, I think life is about not being fair and overcoming adversity. And I think Brock has done those things. Was it fair to Brock that he came in and only got 1 out of every 7, 8, 9, 10 snaps in preseason?
Absolutely,
No.
It was fair.
What?
I mean, it was fair because he was the last pick of the draft.
Yeah, but then he made the most of those opportunities. He made the team. They gave Sudfeld money.
Right.
He proved it. He made it undeniable that you couldn't argue it. How many people want to be in my seat right now who went to journalism school, went to this place and that market and this, and you know what? I jumped all those people because at the end of the day, right, and I'm not trying to say that I'm Brock Purdy, but what I'm getting at is at the end of the day, I made the most of my opportunities.
Right, no doubt.
Brock made the most of his opportunities, stuck his foot in that little tiny crack of a door, and he has put himself in a position to be the starting quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers off of what he accomplished.
And with all that said, there's a lot of Niner fans who think, and I would love to hear from them, 888-957-9570. There's a lot of Niner fans who think Trey Lance's days are numbered in a 49ers uniform because of Brock Purdy, because of the way he played. Now, I get the argument that you don't want to trade quarterbacks because of the history of this team under Shanahan and all the quarterbacks getting hurt. I get it. It's a violent game. Guys are going to miss time. They're going to miss games. Hell, Patrick Mahomes had a regular season where he missed a few games. It happens. But, boy, a lot of fans I heard from yesterday were saying, wait, does it sound good for Trey Lance? And is it fair? Did he run the same playbook? I don't know if he ran the same playbook as Brock Purdy. I don't know if he ran the same playbook as Jimmy Garoppolo. Could he run the same playbook? I think he could. I think, a lot of people made a big deal about Trey Lance's struggles against the Houston Texans in the preseason game. Well, what about when he lit up the Chargers in a preseason game, the same preseason game that Jimmy looked horrendous down at SoFi Stadium? Nobody wants to talk about that when he went 35 yards in 45 seconds in a 2-minute drill. We all said, wow, look at Trey. He could run a 2-minute drill better than Jimmy Garoppolo. Looks like Shanahan trusts Trey Lance to run a 2-minute drill better than Jimmy Garoppolo. So has it been fair? Trey got hurt. He didn't take advantage. Every time he had a chance to take this job, even back in 2021, Jimmy gets hurt. Trey Lance goes to Arizona. Trey Lance plays well and doesn't get hurt. Who's to know that he's not the starter in 2021? He got hurt again. So injuries have derailed him. So, yeah, has he gotten a fair shot? He's kind of did himself in And you could say, Shanahan, I'm not happy with the play calling whatsoever in that Seattle game, but Trey's gotten hurt.
Would you meet me in the middle here and like anybody who's saying that it's the end of Trey Lance here in San Francisco, maybe it is.
How can you not feel that?
Because I'll tell you why.
No. I can't blame fans for feeling like that.
No, I understand that.
They come out and say, Brock Purdy's a leader, and Trey's going to split reps with a guy who just signed with this team in the spring.
I understand feeling that way. But I also take a step back, and this is me taking a step back. This isn't normally reserved individuals. This is my crazy lunatic ass taking a step back. I said the same thing about Alex Smith for almost a decade. Oh, this is his last snap. Oh, he's done. Oh, they're going to move off of him. How many times did I write off the Niners and Jimmy G? Until I see Jimmy G in a Raider uniform taking snaps out of practice, I still feel like he might show up here to Levi Stadium.
Right.
Am I wrong, TJ?
No,
TJ's laughing, but it's the truth. I must have said 17 different times, that's it. That's the last we saw Jimmy G.
Yeah.
So to my point is like, I understand feeling that way, but I also understand the business of football.
Right.
And just because you feel that way doesn't mean that A, Trey has earned anything to demand anything, like demanding to leave or demanding this. And B, in the competitor, if you're a competitor and you're truly him, I read the Steve Young book, and I think Steve Young is brilliant. He didn't want to stay with the Niners, okay?
He wanted to leave, yeah.
And one of the people that he looks up to, his pastor, he said to him, if you want to find out how truly great you are, you need to stay with the Niners, because if you can beat out that guy with this team, this is where you will see how great you can become. And so I feel the same way. If Trey thinks he could be an NFL player, don't demand a trade and go to some weak team that doesn't have weaponry. Do it here. Beat out Brock Purdy. Learn on the football field. Prove you can stay healthy. Prove you can run a 2-minute drill in a regular season game.
But he may not get that chance, Shasky. That's the point. He may not get that chance out here.
He may not.
He may not get that chance. And so what people are saying is Trey Lance may not get that. Yeah, he needs to be ready. No doubt about it. And it still may not matter. It still may not matter.
That's life.
So that's where we're at with that. And by the way, Steve Young was lied to by Bill Walsh. He said Montana was hurt. He said, they're going to be, don't worry, Bill Walsh. And then he gets a camp. Yes. And John Montana's lighting it up, and Steve Young's like, wait a minute. Joe Montana looks like Joe Montana. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And let's be real. Joe Montana, at the end of his reign, didn't really get a fair chance to win his job back. He got shipped out of Kansas City. Life isn't fair. So with that logic, Trey may not get that shot out here, and it may not be fair. He may not get a chance to run that same offense. He may not get a chance to be on the field with all those assets that we talked about with Kittle, Ayuk, Debo, and Christian McCaffrey. So I can't blame 49er fans who were conflicted on Jimmy Garoppolo, who were conflicted on Colin Kaepernick, who were conflicted about Alex Smith, and they're saying to themselves, boy, it does sound like Trey's on his way out the door, because the coach yesterday also hyped up Brandon Allen. That's what Matt Barrows talked about it. If you could pull this cut, Matt Barrows joined Willard and Dibbs yesterday. He joined Willard and Dibbs. And it sounds crazy, but it sounded crazy last year when people were talking about Brock Purdy.
Well, he hyped up Sudfeld, too.
Right.
But he hyped up Sudfeld and then cut him and gave him guaranteed money.
He did.
I don't know. We'll see Brandon Allen.
Here's what Matt Barrows said.
Maybe I'm sleeping on this.
Here's what Matt Barrows said on Shanahan being willing to bring up Brandon Allen. Here it is.
The luxury of having a Brandon Allen on your roster right now is that if you do get blown away by a trade offer for Trey Lance, and it's hard to see that happening, but if that did come down the pike, and the 49ers have said time and time again that they're willing to listen, as far as a trade offer on anyone, if that did happen, there's an injury somewhere else, if there's a team that really had Lance rated highly and back in 2021, if that were to happen, the 49ers theoretically would have I don't want to say the luxury, but the ability to trade him because they would still have 3 capable quarterbacks on the roster. So they do have the leeway to do that.
Oh, that's the cut. That was a abrupt cut there. No, but that's Matt Barrows on Brendan Allen. That's not Spinotti's fault. I was like, wait, there's more? Where's the fade out button, folks? No, I'm kidding. I love you guys back there. People are working hard. I'm like, what? Did we go off the air? What's
the boss is on vacation when it cuts like that.
Boy. Oh, man, that's the cut? Oh, boy. All right. No, I look, Matt Barrows said it in there. it's probably a long way away from happening trading Trey Lance because you're not getting value. I mean, people make up these trades in their heads. Even when Jimmy Garoppolo was struggling and Peter King
said that he would get traded for 2 first-rounders.
Which is and I laughed in his face immediately as soon as I heard the cut. It's like, you're not getting 2 first-rounders. But the same people will say, well, maybe you can get somebody compensation back that you traded for Trey Lance. You're not getting that either because nobody's seen them.
You just got
Nobody
8,000 third-round picks for all these coaches and Jimmy G leaving and all this. Like this thing that you're going to get back a second or a first-rounder. It's not realistic.